Hello, gorgeous Scorpio. How are you? This is your monthly reading for May 2021. And it's general, so it's for Sun, Moon, Rising, and anywhere in your chart that you have Scorpio and are interested in. Excuse me for just a minute. Thank you. If you're returning, welcome back. I really appreciate it. And if you're new to the channel, welcome in. I hope you received something from these readings, and I would love to hear your feedback. If you would like to like, share and subscribe, I'd really appreciate that. And we will get on to your reading. Yeah. What have we got for Scorpio this month, please? Apparently we have to look at this one first that fell out. Beloved, radical acceptance. Now this can be radical acceptance of anything. And when I was meditating before, I asked for messages that came through my heart. So I love that this has come out first for you. Let's see if there's anything else, or if that is the main message, because, you know, they tend to have a different way of getting their message across for each reading. Mindful, groupthink. So this is about the collective and realising that whatever you think has an effect on other people. So practicing radical acceptance would have the effect that other people then accepted themselves. You can have a big influence on how other people see themselves and feel about themselves. But I think it's also important to look at how you see yourself and how you feel about yourself in this group situation. It'll protect the future. However you think and speak and behave will definitely affect your future. It always does. We don't realise that words we speak have the effect that they do, but the effect is it's far-ranging, and not just to ourselves but to others, and mainly right to our core. Anyway, let's get the story. As usual, I will lay these out and then we will go through them and see what walk the Scorpio made. At the bottom of the deck we have the Emperor. Talks about control. This is all four kings in one, and it's really interesting that it comes with groupthink, because this is the masculine energy of watching over collective. And that's why they can feel like they have to be in charge or can be a bit controlling in that. So maybe if you're in charge of a company or a group of people or a family or whatever situation, even yourself, try to be less controlling and more accepting. It doesn't mean if somebody's doing something that will harm others or themselves, you don't step in. It just means if someone has a different belief or different attitude or makes different choices than what you would make, it's not incumbent upon you to put your beliefs and needs onto that person so that they then conform to you. All right, temperance. No, not temperance, temptation. That's devil energy, 4 of air, 6 of water, 10 of water. Patience, there's the temperance card. King of fire, 10 of fire, 8 of earth, the Empress, 2 of fire, and 4 of water. Okay. So, currently you're stuck. Temptation talks about the devil. I call the devil the liar because he makes people afraid. He whispers bullshit in your ear and takes you away from being heart-centered. This is all about ego and fear. So I think what's happening at the moment is that you're hanging on to things as tightly as possible because you fear that if you let go of something for a minute, you will lose everything. Someone recently has asked you to be more balanced, with more give and take, more equal thought from emotion and thought from mind and heart, balancing that more than just coming from the intellect and the ego. But I think that caused a bit more fear than you thought it would. Your current energy is the 4 of swords or the 4 of air, which is taking time out. It's really needing to step back. So it could be taking a holiday or just some time out for yourself so that you can really think this through or let the fear go in order for the messages that you need to hear to come in. And that's really good that you're doing that because it puts a pause on the stuff that you don't need that's keeping you stuck. The obstacle or the opportunity is the 6 of Cups, which talks about the past and either nostalgia or reminiscing or things from the past that have affected you currently and how you think and believe, what you think and believe and the values you hold. You could be going back to your childhood, because this at the foundation is the Ten of Cups, which talks about it's the rainbows and butterflies cards, you know, where everything is contented. You have the loving foundation and the family and the support system. Now, if in this card, if you look, she's holding her stomach and looking at the lotuses or the lilies. Now, to me, that's almost painful in this situation, in this card. It's to me, it strikes me as remembering a loss. And I think in this situation, the fear, the need to control, the need to hang on, and the fear of losing everything comes from a time where you lost who you were. You lost the happiness and the joy, and you had to grow up so that the need for you to never go through that again has taken over your growth, your aging, so to speak. And I think when you take time out, you will have to face this. You know, if you can see in the bottom of the card, it's a small child. It's a very small child looking back. And she's praying. But in the adult world, she's hanging on tight to something that is her strength and security. So that's going to need to be faced. This is something you're going to need to face and look at. Your opportunity is to step into the current energy of the King of Fire. Now, the King of Fire it's like he's got his mojo back. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's in his highest vibration. He knows who he is. He knows what he's passionate about. He knows who and what he will defend. And he knows when to show his fiery side and when to be warm. But if you see this heart is very heart-centered. Very, very heart-centered. And that's what you're being asked at the moment to step into. And I think part of the problem back here was that you stepped into what you were expected to think, what you were expected to be, and the radical acceptance is that was never what you were born for. You were born to learn certain lessons, but you were also born to be so much more and someone so much more authentic. So coming up, you've got the Ten of Fire, and this talks about putting down burdens. But in this case, I like the way that she's just setting fire to old messages, old letters, old forms of communication that have been held on to for far too long. And it's a very calm picture, so it's not it's not an angry release, but if you look at her hands, I don't know if you can see that clearly. She's been burned by these, and so now she's just letting them go. She's no longer hanging on to them and continuing to be burnt by the stuff that she's believed is hers to carry. Now, what you're not seeing is the Eight of Earth, which is the Eight of Pentacles. And this talks about growing something now and working diligently. I love this imagery because if you look at it, it's based on music and a blossoming from something that appeared to be just dead and stuck, just rigid. But the music represents you, your music, what you haven't, sing your own song, play your own tune. It talks about being true to yourself and finding you in you, rather than the shell, rather than the meat suit that you've been told you need to embody. This talks about, and it is work. This facing the ick and the uncomfortable, that's work. But rewards are huge. The advice for you is the Empress and the message. Now, the different energies in this is similar to the message of patience or temperance. And that's a very nice balance. So you've already got the masculine energy down pat. The advice is to look at the feminine energy and where you are needing to grow and create a more gentle approach. Because if you come from that heart-centered place, you will reap a much greater reward in your whole life. And she's far more natural and giving, but she also creates for herself and then gives of that to other people. Your hopes and fears is the Two of Wands. Now, this talks about choosing your direction. I love that she's on a giraffe because she gets a much higher viewpoint. She gets a much clearer viewpoint of the opportunities each way. Now, my suggestion is you know this. You know this. It's what you know. It's comfortable, and that's why we hang on to it so tightly. But in this situation, your hope is that you can go in a new direction, that the path is clearer. And your fear is that no matter how you look at it, you can't see the future clear enough. And Scorpio is much deeper looking than out there looking. So one thing for you to overcome is the fear. It's the fear of facing what feels uncomfortable. It's the fear of the unknown. It's the fear of whether you'll be able to do it or not. And all of that comes back down to the devil and how temptation to stay the same or to avoid doing this is incredibly strong. So the opportunity is to go here. And it's worth it. It's so worth it because then, you really have the ability to grow and move forward. The outcome was the Four of Water, and it's the Four of Cups, which usually talks about either too busy looking at what's past and what you've lost and not seeing the opportunity, or it talks about being despondent and bored and, thinking that everything that's coming to you will all be the same. Now, in this card, I particularly like that she's in water because you are a water sign. But see how one of them is bigger? The others are all the same, and she's holding the opportunity in her hand. And that goes with the usual card of the Two of Wands. And Two of Wands usually has somebody standing through, an archway or two rods holding the world in their hand. And this is very, very similar to that. So you get to decide now, just because you're holding the opportunity and the golden opportunity doesn't mean you'll take it. If you do, there's celebration to be had. This is, offerings and celebration and sharing joy and all of that. And so when you get confused, when you get worried about, the ifs and the buts on the negative side, there's a message for you to stay grounded and look at the ifs and the buts on the positive side. Instead of saying, what if I fail? What if I succeed? How will that look to me? How will that feel? Go always to the positive, because it's our natural default setting to go to the negative, but it's very rare for us to go to the positive. And I think that's the overall message, is for you to go to the positive this month. All right, my loves, I hope this helped. Please let me know, and I will talk to you soon. Much love.